Okay. Episode 61 of the Barbie Breakdown. Every single episode of Inane Blather
our 300-part series
is now going to be analysis and in defense of the Barbie movie by Greta Gerwig. But
it's become our entire personality.
It has become my entire personality
because we
for the
are
last 5 days. Yes, exactly. I can feel the Kenergy. I am Knuff. No, but I do highly recommend it to everyone who is not an honorless lying little turd. But especially to those of us that are
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
Especially those jerks. You'll like
those people are my favorite.
It's funny. It's just, gosh, being actually going to a movie theater and seeing a smash hit, like box office wonder, while it's still
grossing.
Going. Yeah, where it's like, gosh, well, hopefully they're still playing it when I was thinking about trying to find a time to watch the movie. And no, that theater was full. It was the third weekend that it's been out. And it's just going and going. And now I'm just like, well, now it's performing so well, I have to wait longer for it to be on HBO Max streaming so I can watch it at home.
I would watch it again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
for sure.
Actually, so I was talking to someone about it. They're like, oh, it really is good? I was like, I'll buy you a ticket. I want to go watch it again. Let's go.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, tickets are like $14 a piece. And then,
yeah.
Oh boy, you gotta bring some stuff in with you is all I'm gonna say. No, actually, and I didn't this last time, and it absolutely burned a hole through my wallet. Getting popcorn, nachos, and candy, and a soda for myself and my daughter. Yeah, and then the tickets, at least I'd done those ahead of time, so sunk cost. But I was like, Jesus. Yeah, the concessions cost as much as the tickets, but
for sure.
Because I was indoctrinating a child, so she got a cheaper ticket. Since bringing her into a PG-13 movie. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Sophie, the whole time, she was just like,
this is lit. This is absolutely lit.
And then she just screamed out,
anarchists should never have children.
At the end of it. And I was like, wow.
She was going to say
indoctrination
the N-word.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end, I was like, so what do you think about, the feminist messaging in this movie? And she said,
these people are sick.
I was like, oh boy, I don't think it took. Yeah, I'll just say, because we don't actually want to turn it into the Barbie podcast. I'll leave that to tons of other people for me to listen to. Because I loving
have no insight.
all of the Barbie analysis, even though I already heard it, most of it before. Actually, I learned some new stuff, especially with the references to older films that even I didn't catch. Even me.
Even
I.
Wow. How can the layman...
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone else in the theater was just like, whoa,
totally lost.
What's going on? Where am I?
Well, this is like really avant-garde,
Stanley
abstract
Kubrick
movie.
Was a baseball player? See, I already forgot what I was going to say.
You learned something about film?
Yeah,
perhaps?
but one of the funnier, well, I don't remember what I was going to say, but one of the funnier, one of the stupider right-wing reactions to all the haters of this fantastic fun summer movie is just that, for one, they think that see, when the Kens took over and the patriarchy took over, everyone was happy. Why did they have to run that? It's like, did you not watch the last 25 minutes of the movie? No, they weren't. That's one of the biggest messages in this movie. One of the it's just going into it, you already know. I mean, you must know it's about feminism, modern feminist takes, and Barbie's role in that, and it's really interesting because it's a good topic. But
I laughed so hard when the little girl or the young girl called her a fascist.
Yes,
like, when
exactly.
Because
it's like, the young girl made so many good points, but a little too far each time about the problems with Barbie that we've all talked about for decades. Not myself personally, but and then just right over the line, and it's like, oh yeah, she's a teenager. And Barbie just says,
fascist.
What? I don't know how to control commerce or make the trains run. But yeah, it's like the fact that so many people where they're like, the patriarchy took over and everyone was happy. You missed a big part of it. Or like saying that the movie is anti-men or misandrist or whatever. It's like, you should be overjoyed at the fact that this feminist movie, like the biggest messaging
is
about
not
it centers
man-hating.
around men. Like the movie is practically about Ken in the end.
Yeah.
Like
He kind of
because
steals the show.
yeah, and it's like, and because it highlights an important part of modern feminism, which is how the patriarchy negatively affects men. It's bad for everyone.
You don't
Anti-feminism is bad for men.
Yeah, just because you have criticism of the patriarchy doesn't mean men. Men are people.
Yes.
The patriarchy is like a concept.
Yes,
that we're
exactly.
saying,
It's
that we have to, this is maybe not the correct way to do things.
Exactly.
It's not you guys, but you guys are, born into this, and, obviously you got some issues there, men. You got to work on through a new understanding of what can change, and the patriarchy and all those kinds of expectations can change. They're not set in stone, because of all these things being a construct and such.
Yeah. You know what Ken didn't like? He didn't like having to be a leader. He didn't want to be a leader. He didn't like living his entire life in relationship to a woman that he was after. He didn't feel like he was Kenuff, and it's like, yes, that's feminist messaging. You absolute dorks. Yeah. Oh my God. Like Ken is like an actual Ken is good incel representation. Like it actually shows, for a variety of reasons, he is an incel. Because he's involuntarily celibate because he does not have genitals and they don't have sex in Barbie land. Yeah. But it's like, it doesn't,
That's why that pregnant Barbie was so off-putting.
Yes, and they discontinued Midge. Yeah, it's like, and it showed how when someone on that path, on the incel side of anti-feminism, and how they need to be able to not be a depressed loser incel. Not a loser. It's like to not be in this position that has been kind of foisted upon you by society because we live in a patriarchy. Like you need to be, it's like you need to take that feminist perspective. Like without that, you're never going to feel like you're enough. You're never going to, you're constantly only seeking validation in relation to women, having power over women, having power over other men. All the Kens had to put their manly hands in mine, to be happy in the end.
It's Because it's putting you into a role, like that there are defined roles, like within a patriarchal...
Expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone is an individual. And that's kind of like the thing about feminism that gets so perverted. The idea is like, oh, it's all just about, I don't know, being a lesbian and hating men or whatever. And it's like, what it's about is equality. That's what it's about. And that means across... for all
and
people.
And to achieve that, you really need to adjust how society treats those on the feminine side.
You gotta use equity to get to equality, I think. Like you have, that's...
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting prescriptive about it. But it's like, yeah, and all that aside, I mean, it... Also, Ryan Gosling is just an absolute smoke show. So hot.
Margot Robbie, one of the most beautiful women, I think, like, to ever exist. And you know what I liked about the movie, though, was, like, the earnestness that the Barbies had about, like, how positive their example was to women, like, in the real world. And, like, the idealism about the doll to begin with, that she was a grown woman doing things. I remember my Barbie, my favorite one, she was a veterinarian. That's definitely what I wanted to be. Yeah. I was a little blonde girl. Barbie being a bad bitch, doing whatever. Like, she could do anything. She was always in charge, that's what we had. Barbies, they were the head of the household. But yeah, she was like a grown woman.
A house and a car.
Hell yeah, a dream house. She had a Mustang that we drove her around in, a 4-seater.
And then there was just Ken. No.
Yeah, Ken.
Did you
we
even
had a
have
Ken.
a Ken?
You had a Ken? We had one Ken. He was part of it was a Barbie and Ken. They were like, and an orca. And they had like a wetsuit on that when you got them maybe cold water, their wetsuit would come on. Yeah. Yeah, his job was beach. It's just beach. Yeah. I think that I like to see that people are... The tone of the movie to me is that, like, people are trying, that all of these intentions, people didn't make Barbie originally to make girls feel bad about themselves. They did it in a way that they thought was going to be helpful and trying to give something to little girls or little boys or whatever, but especially little girls. That was like the whole point of
it came out in the 1960s, or 50s or whatever. I mean,
we've all seen her, and I just think, I liked them, the modern day, like looking back, like that whole thing where she calls her a fascist, but also juxtaposed, with like the genuine belief that they were doing something good, like being a really good example to girls. Purely like, they can do anything. They can run the world.
Acting in good faith.
Yes, exactly. I like that too.
That's why the allegations of misandry are so stupid, where it's just like, or even like, well, but then they still didn't. I mean, spoilers, I guess, but it's like they still didn't give Ken any power at the end. For one thing, you can lean on the joke, quote unquote joke of no, they gave Ken just as much power as they give women in the real world.
Yeah.
But and it's like they did give Ken what he wanted, though. Like self-fulfillment, like his own sense of identity, like no, but
he's just Ken.
Yes, anywhere else he'd be a 10. Yeah, gosh, that song too, lyrics about toxic masculinity is in a. Am I not hot when I'm in my feelings, And when he's crying at the end. Anyway, too many spoilers. But one interesting thing was, honestly, at the very beginning of the movie, talking to Sophia, who, it's like, oh, it's not a kid's movie, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it's not a kid's movie because so much of it will just go over their heads in terms of, like, the actual, text of the movie, like sure. and it's like it might be boring to them, if they get lost in that. But Sophia's really smart, and it was just like walking into the theater, just basically talking about what the patriarchy is to get her ready to go in, and so. But it kind of struck me. It was quite a blind spot for me. Being a groomer parent that is constantly indoctrinating my child with leftist propaganda.
This is propaganda.
And but
you what?
Sorry. But that Sophia, I think, kind of felt that the way that the Barbies did. It's kind of a shock to think that, the world isn't like that. And it's like, women don't run the world. It's like, because, I mean, just the surface level liberal messaging that she's surrounded with too, she believes that too. Like she dressed up as Ruth Bader Ginsburg for Halloween and all on her own, and not even with my brainwashing, but and just where it's like you have to kind of, I had to tell her, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, there's never been a woman president. It's never happened. Women aren't in charge of many big companies, and she's like, yeah. But she even made a comment kind of when that initial shock to Barbie of patriarchy existing in the first place, where it's like where she's like, but women can literally do anything and everything and be in any position of power, and realizing that just simply isn't the case in the United States of America, or pretty much anywhere. But that Sophia was like, gosh, that's kind of how I felt, though. It was kind of sad. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's good for you to know, I mean, you have to be empowered, but realism, about how society is currently constructed is kind of tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. So
it doesn't have to take away your enthusiasm necessarily, and I think that it can be more crushing to learn later. To unlearn things is a lot harder. But obviously, I'm sure they did it on purpose in the movie. But that's definitely what I was thinking about. The Barbies are so just like kids, like idealistic about things, and like with a very basic understanding, and like it goes back to like I think it all the time about the things that we teach our kids, and then what the quote-unquote real world is really like, and how many values and like all of these things that have been like ingrained in you from when you're young, that you can do anything's possible, sharing is caring, all these kinds of beautiful things that we teach our kids, and how we don't live up to it in the real world. Like, we fall so short. And what, of course, obviously capitalism, blah, 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 blah. Yeah,
just like how, you can look at it through the lens of patriarchy and I mean, this is all just intersectionality. Really, you look at it for what is more difficult for women, male privilege. You can look at it through, just class as well. When it's like, you could be anything. It's like, sure, but okay, let's look at the real world. The number one indicator of where you're going to end up as an adult is your fucking zip code, and stuff like that. Or, and then white privilege and all that. And I like that in the Barbie movie. They even immediately call her a white savior Barbie with something that was right at the perfect time, where it's like, okay, they acknowledged it. But anyway, so how have you been? How is your foot and stuff, your ankle?
It's been getting better. I'm back to... Yeah. It's
been a while since I could
nice
walk on my
I've been working
ground. Okay. You've been working,
but I've been doing it on the phones, making phone calls to people and having some really cool conversations. Actually, I talked to someone today. I was thinking about, this might date the episode, but it's like, who fucking cares? We talk about
God, my shit's so far
anything,
behind.
But it doesn't matter. But it's that Ohio special election. I talked to someone
that was
today.
Just like today, right?
That was today, and the woman I talked to, she lives in Ohio, and she'd just gotten back from voting, and it was the rule that they're trying to make it has to be a 60% majority to like pass new legislation and stuff like that, and I think it's going to fail.
And they completely obliterated it. That's what I saw. I didn't even know anything coming up to it. I've just
and
not
the whole
following
reason that they did this was specifically
abortion
for anti-choice. Yes, exactly. And it shows yet again, and I just don't really get, because the Republicans, this is not a value of theirs. They do not value the unborn or whatever they want to say. That's not what it is.
Or democracy.
Constantly. Yeah, anything like that. Or democracy, because, I mean, it's not a winning strategy. Reproductive rights in America, there is majority support no matter where you go. There always is. Things come on the ballot. We vote to protect them every single time. This is not going to win you more voters.
Yes.
It's probably going to lose. The more and more restrictive we go, the more stories you hear about women dying, like teenage girls dying. People are going to be like, what the fuck? You guys really, like, this is... Like, it is not going to win them any elections. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
like, why? What is funding them to make them continue to do this? It's the Catholic Church, or what the fuck is
What's
it?
so
like,
funny
genuinely.
is that, well, it's just, how, I mean, it's the dog caught the car, really, with the evangelical side of the party. Because what's funny is, for years, as abortion rights just kept getting debated, even though it was mostly at a standstill. I mean, compared to like the extremes that states are going to now that Roe v. Wade was overturned. But it was like the constant statement was that, Roe v. Wade will never be overturned, because then they don't have something to fight for. They don't have that thing to say, oh, but, we got to fight for the unborn. We got to do this and blah, 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 blah. It's like, once you do that, then you're just stuck with just that base. These people got what they wanted, I guess. And then what? Where do you go from there? And then they overturned it. And now it's like, well, what does that do for you? I mean, politically, like, looking at it completely cynically, politically, it's like,
that's what I mean.
You're not gaining more support. You just, I mean, out of all the effective channels of just pure right-wing propaganda that work on different issues, the anti-choice stuff, they've got nothing. You're not bringing new people into the fold. There aren't like major events. Yeah, you can't have an event that will highlight this issue and be like, that's right, we need to restrict abortion. We need to protect. It's like, it's always the opposite. That's what happens when you're a fucking conservative. You don't have, you don't have like major events.
You don't have new ideas because
you need to fix something to change for the better because of that, And so, I hope that you're right. I hope it's enough to overcome gerrymandering and stuff once we get to like 2024, because of course, despite the GOP not being even half of voters, they're not a majority of people.
Nope.
They still end up, winning. They still end up being in power every once in a while in Congress. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense, because it's like, I'm someone who believes in democracy.
You little poopy bitch.
Ooh, boy. Because
I love Karl Marx.
No, but and so it's like, it's just so unrepresentative of the American people. But it's like they've been so bad at this lately. I mean, the discussions and what is going on has become darker and darker and more fascistic and stuff like that. But when it comes to actual elections, like, they don't have the juice. And it's like, now our only problem is getting fucking leftists and liberals and people that don't vote to vote. Like, because it's like, it's too easy to look at an off year and it's like, well, we've been voting and look at this bullshit. Roe v. Wade gets overturned. There's all these laws being passed against transgender people, yada, 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 yada. And it's like, well, that's because we need to vote, though. And it just feels like it's so understandable to feel like that's just liberal Democrat bullshit. But, I mean, to an extent, it is true. It's like, the reason, and it's not like, you didn't vote for Joe Biden. No, I'm not going to say that that's the reason for any of this shit that's going on. It's just not. But it's like, there aren't enough people voting in Florida because their state Congress is overrun by right-wing nut jobs. Like, that's why these abortion bills get passed. That's why these incredibly cruel anti-transgender bills get passed, because of state senates and state houses, state congressional things that you just need to vote because we're in the majority. Whether anything, I mean, we as in anything left of right-wing nonsense is in the majority, and these are the things that matter. I don't give a fuck who you vote for in many cases when it comes to a federal thing, like, although, unless it's third party, then whatever, fuck off. But then it's like, I don't understand. There's we could do a whole episode on my thoughts on that. Vosh had a great debate with the Vanguard guys because they kept going back and forth about, Cornel West. And Vosh, he's constantly accused of being a liberal because, and he will unashamedly cape for the Democrats when it comes to voting. He's like, and it's like, there's just so many things outside of voting that you can do if you're talking about any revolutionary or just even progressive things. But it's like, when it comes down to it, if you have the choice to go vote for a piece of shit milquetoast liberal like Joe Biden or Donald fucking Trump or Vivek Ramaswamy, like, you gotta tell me that you'll vote for a liberal, and it's only to do a 1% of your duty to stave off fascism. That's it.
Well, what I would say, it's like, do your part to shift the Overton window or whatever, because wouldn't it be nice if our right wing was like Joe Biden?
Yeah,
because I think it could be a lot more like that. Well,
that's what primaries are for. And it's like, and of course the Democrats are corrupt idiots who, if someone like Bernie Sanders is going to be the one winning all the primaries, who knows what they'll do. But I mean, that's what it's for. It's like pre-general election, and, and the presidential thing notwithstanding, it's like, there's all those other things on your ballot. It's like, at least be there, because it's just a simple stroke of the pen, nonviolent way that you can actually try to help.
And to do the
try
least.
To help. It's like, not to help get a Democrat elected. Fuck that. No, to not get a fascist elected. Like,
that's what I would say. Think about other people that are actually affected by these laws. Think about the trans people. Think about people of color. Think about women. If it's not for you, especially white people, white men that are not going to be voting, it's like, this isn't about you. This is so much bigger. There are people that are genuinely affected by this every single day. There are teenage girls being forced to give birth because of the government.
Yeah.
Women will die. Mothers will die. People getting shot in the streets every day. The number one cause of death for children in America is gun violence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, kind of an edgy...
Vote for someone who says they'll do something at least.
20-year-old, 20-somethings take. I've seen people that's like, well, gee, might as well just is obviously what the American people deserve, Trump or something like that. If I'm just going to throw my vote away and just wait until we can get someone better that's left wing. It's like, it's not how this works. It's
how would that happen?
It's like there are swaths of people that are in marginalized groups that don't agree with that plan. All right. Just to take one on the chin to show everyone how bad fascism actually could be, and it's like, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Vosh had bottom line was in response to the question of like, well, when is it going to happen? When can we finally get further left? When can we finally, and he's like, I don't know, maybe never. Maybe not in your life. Maybe every single election on the federal level is just you trying to postpone and stave off fascism being elected to office for just another 4 years. Maybe that's what you're doing. But that's better than not doing it. I mean, it just is, and it's like...
There's a saying that's about men planting seeds of trees, the shade in which they'll never sit. It's not just about you. It's about future generations too. It's like, this sucks. This is a sucky time. You know what? There's been a lot of sucky times. And it's a good thing people weren't just like, well, we'll just let this all figure it out. People rose up against, these fascist dictatorships or whatever is happening. I would hope it doesn't have to be violent. It's so unfortunate.
But if it comes to that, then like that is
very least
what you do.
Vote.
But yeah, exactly. And it's like, so... but for revolutionary progress, you're not going to get that through voting. And no one's trying to tell you that you are. For sure. That's never the claim. And so it's like, but you can, if you could do your part in not being represented by someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that seems okay. Like, that's a good thing.
At least on principle. Come on, go out there. I'd be like, hell no, I would never want her to be associated with me, and I'll make sure of it because I voted against her. And I want to make sure that people know that.
And even not doing the principles thing, because that's what gets people on this path to throwing away their fucking vote, like voting third party, which, whatever. Like I said, it's what's funny, and I kind of thought that too, where it's like, well, then, if I'm already in a solid blue state, or people think I'm in a solid red state, what's the point? Or I'll vote third party. Maybe one of these third parties will get to 5%. They can get it. It's like, it's not going to happen. It just literally isn't. Give up. Because what you need to do is work with what can be elected and see if we can get... ranked choice voting. If we can get a different voting system, then it's a whole new ball game, But we don't have a different voting system. We have the piece of shit that we do right now with the Electoral College for the president and with overrepresented right wingers through not expanding Congress and blah 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 blah. We don't have that. So it's like, so I would always think that, like, I've voted third party so many times, but for presidential elections, but it's like, oh yeah, but California used to be red, Florida used to be blue, like that stuff does happen. It's like Georgia. Went blue, stuff like that. It's like, it does happen. Those shifts do happen. And with our current voting system as is, the Green Party's not going to do anything. It just won't. And it's like, and saying, well, not with that attitude. No, not with any attitude. It's just not happening. Like, we have this corrupt two-party system that's in control of the electoral system. So if you're going to participate at all, at least keep it real. Like, you're not going to get... it's like, oh, who was great at pushing the Democrats left? Bernie fucking Sanders. You know how he did that? By running as a fucking Democrat. He's an independent, but he got on the Democratic ticket 2 election cycles in a row. That's why we started talking about $15 minimum wage as a regular thing, or Medicare for all. Sure, it didn't happen because the Democrats suck, but it's like, if you're talking about pushing a party further left, you're not going to do it by throwing away your vote on the Green Party or whatever it might be. It's like, it's just not going to happen, you know? You have to get
We don't
want
to necessarily add another party also to the way that the system, maybe there's a different way that people can be doing it rather than just thinking it's like Democrat and Republican. You just want to add a third party and think that that would be helpful. The Democrats and Republicans would still be there.
Sure. And you'd still.
So it's like not really
you'd still be outnumbered 2-1 with liberal capitalist parties
that are entrenched in like the foundations of the country, you know, which I think that. So it's like more like a rethinking of like, it's a bad system. Let's not just try to add to it, you know, a third party. Not that I don't think there should be more choice, obviously, or whatever. Oh, I did talk to a guy from Georgia today when you mentioned Georgia going blue. I just wanted to say what he said. I was like, oh, yeah, he lived in Atlanta. I was like, yeah, it's a really cool spot, whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's a beautiful pearl surrounded by rednecks.
Yeah, sure.
But
and you were saying the classic that planting seeds for a tree whose shade you'll never sit in, kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, of course, it's Star Wars. I mean, you've seen Andor, right?
I have seen the first 5
I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. And the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. That's... You need to watch this fucking show, man.
What's the beginning part to it? What'd you say? What was the first part of that quote?
I'm condemned to... Well, this is part of a huge monologue I just looked up. But
what you said.
Oh, it's such a good part of the show. But I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them.
That's what using the master's tool to dismantle the master's house.
And all these are great. This is the thing. So, and all these are great discussions to have, or debates, or in more general terms, or I mean, just when applied to things other than American electoral politics, right? Like it's a thing. Like, just
I was just actually
voting
thinking about outside
on
of
principle. It's like, that's not what voting's for. Voting's for winning. Like, it's to try to make sure that your voice is represented somehow. You know, I don't know.
Unless you got a bad voice, unless you're a Nazi, you're not being represented.
That's the thing. But it's like this is the problem. Is that, like, on the left, if you're extreme enough, you just don't vote because you aren't represented. On the right, they keep voting, and now Nazis are, like, in Congress, you know? And it's like, and it's been successful for them. So
yeah, I know. I just talked to a guy on the phone today, too, that was like, Democrats just need to fight dirtier. That's what they just need to, you know...
Well, they need to find some way to just get to, I mean, I don't know. It's like, at the very least, like, going slightly further left, they're just so stupid, man. Because going slightly further left in terms of just being like, yes, we're the union party. It's about unions and labor rights. That's all it would take. You're still liberals, still fine. You already... Like you keep the support that you have in terms of voter base. I mean, except for maybe
probably
a few
secured a lot more.
Yeah, and then you would, actually garner some support. People would feel like you're actually listening to them, or that you will actually have a chance of doing something for them. Because now it's like, I mean, and I can go on a tirade for an hour about how you shouldn't throw your vote away, and sometimes you have to hold your nose and vote for a Democrat or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, no, I don't think that they're going to do anything good for me. I just think that they're not like a party of fascists.
Weirdo.
So it's
like I want to do what I can to at least stave off their encroaching onto us. It's like, I was thinking about like people being like, well, we'll just wait for something else. It's like you have a finger hold on a mountainside, and it's like
exactly.
Like I guess I'll just let go and hope someone catches me or whatever. It's like you're having to claw your way back up, and it's really hard work, and that's a really big, huge fucking bummer to be in this position. I didn't put myself here, but this is where we are, and it's not just about me. This is like about society, and at least. The least you can do is just try to hold back this tide that is, like outright fascism and, like oppression, and just do the best that you can as we try to devise a way forward, but don't let it get worse at least.
All we're saying is we're just trying to get away from a party that wants, that hates trans people so much that they want to check the genitals of children. That wants to stay in power and hates democracy so much that Trump is literally on his social media platform talking about how he wants a federal takeover of Washington, D.C., like a police takeover, and it's like, the one that's blindly cult-like supporting a guy under like 3 indictments for... shit that he did while he was president. Like
openly.
Like, exactly. Yes, they're bad, but it really is worse. Like over on the other side.
It's just is like no question. Yeah, it's like so much worse. I feel like. Whatever. What I was thinking about is outside of the context of American politics, it really is back to like Ohio and abortion and like what the point is of the GOP. What do they see, or like what do they think when they look around the world and see women and people with uteruses getting granted more rights? What do they think when they see Ireland decriminalizing abortion, or Argentina, or different countries around the world? Like, where do they think that we fit in to this puzzle?
Yeah.
Like restricting more and more access as other countries start to like really, like they're really moving forward. We're literally back to where we were, probably even, I don't know about worse so, but whatever, 50 fucking years ago. Like, where does the United States fit on like a world stage with our current state of like, if Republicans are in charge, what does that mean for us? Like, what does that mean as like the spirit of our nation and the way that we're seen all over the world? Not like I'm so super obviously patriotic or whatever. I like the founding principles of like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the soft power that we have has been, blah, blah, blah. And it can be like all this, optimism and all these things about the future and how Americans are and the way that we think about possibilities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like what happens, like who are we? Like I don't, I'm more of a child of the universe kind of gal and like one world and everything, but it is sort of weird to think about.
But we live in a society.
Yeah, like where do we go from here? Like how do we keep relations with these other nations, and like what does that look like for our future about as everyone's progressing and we're like, what do they go to these meetings and what are these guys going to talk to these foreign, government leaders about? Be like, wow, congratulations on decriminalizing abortion. We actually just rolled restrictions in 34 states now, and we're increasing our maternal mortality rate. It's pretty bad. So don't you guys look stupid, Ireland, for progressing. I really don't get the plan, and you know why that is? Because it's right in their name. They're conservatives.
Yes.
That's why they can't find any new solutions to problems, because they're just looking to the past, looking to bring us back. And how many times do we have to say this? That's not how it works with humans. We can never go back. That wouldn't happen. Post-apocalyptic, we would rebuild. All these different things. We don't live in the Stone Age anymore. Obviously, because that's what happens with human brains. We're legitimately, that book about Neanderthals was exactly the kind of trad wife living that these motherfuckers like Ben Shapiro want. They want a woman totally submissive, like straight up Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Legitimately, like hierarchies. And they're like 25,000 years in the past.
Yeah, it's just like, just look at guys like Matt Walsh. Like, these people are real, man. Like,
no.
and they, yeah.
No.
But, yeah, just look at Ben Shapiro and his views on the Barbie movie. That's who we're voting against, all right? A completely media illiterate.
He's a knob.
He's a total knob. I was like, the Barbie movie's good? And he said,
no.
And I said, it is. And he's like,
no.
But,
what?
yeah, not very much soundboard in this episode.
Harry, get it all in.
But yeah,
slap myself. The guys are coming.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, how I wish I could believe or understand that.
Mental illness is when you're right wing.
There we go. Yeah, but
legit.
We hate all the Muslims.
That was the.
I always want to make sure.
That was the takeaway.
What wraps up our entire thing.
It's kind of funny to just go on some voting
That's from the Barbie
rant
movie.
when it's, I mean, it is kind of getting into voting season. There,
just had a special election in Ohio
elections
today.
and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff coming up here.
I mean, not a special election, a vote.
But also, gosh, I mean, just what is it? Later this month or this month? Is it month? Is that how you say it?
What is that?
Yeah,
month?
or within
like
a month, I think GOP primary debates will be going on, and
Content City.
Yeah, and it really sucks. I mean, this is kind of a thing. Like, it sucks that you're immediately just cast as like a lib, or you lose your credibility if you want to talk about how bad Donald Trump is, when it's just like, this is like real life shit, okay? Sorry. And it's like, that's like, the guy should be in jail. It's just
what I think
like,
about Donald Trump is he could
like
have been
a major political candidate. Like, this is a big deal. This fucking sucks, man.
He could have been such a unifying force for us. All of us could have been, all these MAGA people. I say, come back. I feel bad for them. I feel like really like, how Walter White took advantage of Jesse looking up to him? That's Donald Trump with his supporters. Never gave a fuck about any of them. Does not care if their prescriptions are too high or anything like that. He doesn't fucking care about these people dying or living or whatever. He doesn't care. And it could have been, maybe the veil could be removed or whatever, ripped off, and then they'll be like, oh shit, he really took us for a ride. He's a real snake oil salesman and all that. And I could totally get it. And I'd be like, I get you have all this frustration, you're like poor or whatever, and you've been fed all this nonsense and stuff.
This is propaganda.
And it's okay. Yes, that's what happens, and it's okay to fall for that. That has been what's happened all throughout history. So, let's learn from it. And we could all be like, fuck you, Donald Trump, except for those extreme MAGA weirdos that are going to be always there, But
they're
it's
Nazis.
Like, they're
little
I do not see them changing.
Yeah, exactly. Or conspiracy theorists. And it's like, at the end of the day, they become white nationalists. So that's how it goes.
It just is. It's a bummer that of this can't just be like, fuck this guy, send him to prison. Let's move forward and let's learn from what he did. Look at not that America's so great or anything. Man, he really, really fucking sucks.
Well, and even I mean, there's just so many different ways to approach that too. But I mean, just in terms of the rule of law in our country, you talk about, the legal corruption inherent in our current two-party system, and when it comes to just how the government is run, how these people are elected and reelected, and how they don't represent our interests. And, it's just legal bribes that's all it is. Corporations just run our country. But on top
bribes,
of that,
it's them just paying what it costs to run things.
So for it's just so crazy. It's so extreme. How bad Trump is, just a straight up criminal where it's just like, you don't even have to be a literal criminal, dude. Like you don't have to. Like, you can. I mean, Barack Obama got all this shit done and is a bajillionaire now and didn't do shit for anyone. Blah blah blah. Is a war criminal maybe, but it's in terms of domestic issues and stuff, it's he did just fine libbing it up, being a lib. It's
lib. He was this is lib.
All the legal avenues of just hand-holding corruption with Wall Street and all that. And Trump's just no, I'm going to literally just try to ruin...
Be a caricature of a bad guy.
Try to step in and ruin the already bad electoral process that we have and say, fuck that. It's just because he's so it's just not, it's just taken for granted how extreme this guy is, for an American political candidate. And he's supported by fucking 35% of people just when he's not even running, people. Oh my God, where it's just this should be a funny footnote in history where he's running a campaign from prison and it completely
I know, I can read his Wikipedia
fractures.
page now.
Yeah, it's that shit happens in other countries. It's it happened.
I say it all the time.
It happened in Germany, but he wasn't.
Ever heard of it?
But it's so I guess I don't know where we go from here, but I don't know. It's just the guy is disgusting. Oh yeah, it's funny. If you just talk to a normie white privileged lib. That we know so well, his go-to thing where he's just even being this centrist, but he's but no matter what, it's policies, whatever, I just still don't understand how people looked at Trump and were just that's my guy. He's a good guy.
He's a never Trumper.
Yeah, he's just he's
who you're talking about,
a good guy. And it's where are you seeing this? It's even on these personality levels, that's the fun part.
He's never even had a dog.
That's the fun part of Trump, where it's just he's just a weird guy that people think is some compassionate, Christ-loving guy. And it's just no, he doesn't even know how to stand
the natural
right.
way he holds
and I don't
a Bible.
think he's read a book in 30 years. But then, even when not surrounded by scary, competent GOP people, because he ended up kicking all of them out because he's such a fucking psycho.
Egomaniac.
Even after that, he still goes out of his way to be a criminal and the whole fake electors scheme and stuff. It's man, I'm already for abolishing the Electoral College, but good God, it's so brazen.
Really reaffirmed that.
Yeah. It's if not only fine, don't put him in prison, just use this as an example to immediately change the Electoral College and how this works. The fact that he did this is what is teaching many people across the United States that, no, the Electoral College is actually just groups of people that have to go vote to represent what their state voted for. And they can just do whatever they wanted, actually. It's really stupid. It's been around since the late 18th century.
Democracy, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. It's that's how it works. It's yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Today you learned.
It has to do with slaves, too, so...
Yeah.
So it's got a good history.
Oh, my God. Anyway. Okay. Well...
People have to flush their toilet 15 times.
And that's why...
These people are sick.
Because they can't take a dump in their own house. You feel sick to your stomach.
And they're sick to their stomach.
They just flop down on the toilet and scream.
The N-word.
And then...
Let her rip.
And then let her rip.
You what?
Okay. Yeah, I just...
Sit down.
On the toilet. And yelled.
That is my own sperm.
Nice. Nice.
Shout out to R.M. Brown.
Our Lord and Savior.
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
It wasn't. But
No, but thank you anyways.
Just
RM.
because truly at the end of the day, we are just
head bonk to individuals.
And that's how we will go down in history.
Yes.
Well, this is a long one. That's what she said.
Nice.
She's like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have to flush your toilet 15 times. I couldn't think of anything else.
Sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But,
seems pretty satanic.
Okay, yeah. Just so everyone knows, I just had to upload the entire soundboard, and I think it's like 114 sounds now or something.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome to the max.
including some RM Brown classics.
Beat a kid in Walmart.
So,
There it is,
so
yes.
shout out RM Brown. I love you, Natalie. I want to talk soon. This is a long one, and we need to get caught up on stuff. And you never talk to me anymore outside of the podcast.
That's true. I don't talk to anybody anymore.
And she doesn't show up to family events if I'm going to be there. She always asks ahead of time. And she's like, I'm like, are you going to be at Dad's birthday? You're like, save it for the podcast.
Write that down. Yeah, we'll talk about it then.
Yeah. So I will see you on the Malibu beach.
That's my job. Beach.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.